Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I think we will get started. Elizabeth is here as well. Some of you may know Elizabeth from some of our marketing programs. She helps run these webinars, but she's feeling a little under the weather today. So I'm going to be our host and MC and everything else. By way of introduction, if I have not interacted with you or you've not been at one of these webinars before, my name is Patrick Lightbody, and I am the co-founder, one of the two co-founders of Reclaim, and my role is to kind of oversee all of the Reclaim business. So really happy to have all of you here. I will open up and remark, I would definitely encourage you to take advantage of this moment to ask any questions that you've got. We like to keep these sessions very interactive and open-ended. So please use the Q&A feature inside of Zoom to ask whatever you'd like. We're going to have plenty of time to go over a bunch of open-ended topics. So please feel free to use that. I do have a few items that we're going to cover, namely just give you an update on what we've either recently shipped or are about to ship, and a little bit of an update on some of the bigger product developments that are going on. So with that, I'm going to jump into it. We will have, I think, once we figure out the technical difficulties, Nick Hill, our head of product, who has recently joined Reclaim, and Aaron Johnson, our head of engineering, who will also be joining and would be able to answer additional questions or dive a little bit deeper. Okay, so let's begin. So I want to start with actually, let me just double check that there's no additional chat messages. We got a few AI assistants telling us they're recording things. That's great. This will all be on YouTube, by the way, too. So if you don't have your AI assistant meeting recorder happening, don't worry about it, because we will post all of this on YouTube as we always do. Okay. Let's start with what have we been doing lately? What have we shipped lately? In case you aren't familiar with it or don't know all the details. And I also want to talk about them because it also explains why. James, I did see that you sent a message into the chat. I just want to acknowledge it, and I will circle back to it in a moment. But yeah, let's talk about some of the recent updates. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and walk through a few items. The first one I want to highlight is our Slack integration. This is something that just recently changed as of a few weeks ago. And there's kind of a bigger strategy that may not be entirely obvious. If you don't use our Slack integration, but you use Slack, I would encourage you to check it out. If you do use our Slack integration, you probably have already noticed that it's a pretty different experience in a few places. We hope it was welcome, but we do think they were really necessary changes in order to reach the strategic objective that I'll be talking more a little bit about here in a second. And for some of you, you may already be seeing some of those objectives. There are things that you're looking at on the screen that you don't have access to just yet, but you will very soon, and I will walk through those in a moment, so stand by. But let's talk about Slack. So as a reminder, Slack is one of our many integrations we support. You can activate it over here. Little pro tip, you can actually install Slack on many workspaces. Through our interface is the way to get the first one initiated. But if you go to the Slack marketplace and find the Reclaim app, you can install it in any place. And when you browse to the Reclaim app in those second, third, or fourth workspaces, you can link it with your existing Reclaim account. Personally, I find that really useful because we have a Dropbox and Reclaim corporate Slack, of course. And we also have our Slack community. That's a place where our customers, if you're not familiar with it, right into our support chat room, we can get you an invite link where our customers interact with each other and ask product questions. And I like to keep my Slack status in sync in both of those locations, as well as a few other communities that I participate on in Slack. But anyway, once you've installed Slack, something that's new is we let you actually configure some things here. And I'm going to come back to this in a moment. This is somewhat new. But the other area where I'd say it's more important to take a look to look into before we get into this thing is our notifications. So Slack does a few things, and it's going to do a few more very soon. But one of the big ones it does is, I'd say the main job people use our Slack integration for these days is to keep your Slack status in sync. That's a capability that's been around for quite some time. And to also let you know when your schedule is changing or keep you up to date with your schedule or that you have events that are about to start on your calendar. So you can review those settings for Slack once you have the Slack integration enabled over here under Settings, Notifications. Little fun tip. Most of the Slack, I think all of the Slack related settings you can use here in the web interface or in the Slack app itself. I will show you both places. But by default, you will be configured this way if you've just installed our Slack integration or not changed these settings. And that is, there are kind of 4 core event notifications that the Slack bot can tell you about: when you've been invited to a meeting, when that meeting has been updated or moved, and when that meeting has been canceled or removed from your calendar. And then also when the event is about to start. That one, I want to tell you, is getting a big update, like active right now. At the moment, for most of our users, it will send you an update when about a minute before the event is about to start. For some of you, it might be 10 minutes before. That's historically the way our system has worked. We are working on a small but important update that will come very soon. And that update is to lean into the notifications capability that both Google and Microsoft Outlook support. And so we will honor whatever the time is that's set here, and that will trigger the Slack message. So stay tuned. There'll be some small tweaks. Some people we know just keep their calendar defaults to 1 minute. Some people we know set up multiple. They might do 5 minutes and 1 minute. Whatever you've set it up for, either globally for your calendar or for an individual event, Slack will soon honor as well. Okay, so let's dive into Slack itself. Here, you can see an example of that. So for me, about 1 minute, it's 1 minute to 90 seconds or so. Typically, we send you this message that says it's about to start. And so in this case, the event, this is a demo account that's in question, is this one. Go-to-market stand-up. That's the one that I received the notification for about half an hour ago. And so you can see we have some nice convenient options in here, like changing my RSVP if I decided I'm actually going to decline last minute, or joining the Zoom link or the Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. We don't see a lot of people that use Slack plus Microsoft Teams, but they're out there. And just easy buttons like that. The other thing you can see here is this digest. So I covered some of these here. The digest is, we offer a daily and a weekly digest that summarizes the day or the week that you've got, and also calls out things like conflicts or other problems. There's a lot more we're going to be doing here in the near future. Meeting conflicts is the first area that we're focusing on. But very soon you'll see things like, you've got 3 hours of back-to-back meetings. Why don't we schedule a break? Or you have a meeting with someone else and it doesn't appear to have a physical location, but it also doesn't have a video conference link. And that could be problematic right when the meeting starts. Those kinds of things that allow you to get ahead of your agenda and your schedule. So both of these are capabilities that are new in the Slack integration. You can configure those capabilities as well by going into settings here. And this matches what we were seeing here. So same place, you can do it in either place. We just wanted to make it easy for you. One of the things you can see here, I briefly popped it up, is these notifications, these 4, they may not be something you want to know about that is too far out in the future. In other words, do you really need to know about a meeting you were invited to in Slack that is a month away? And so we've tried to, and this was some feedback we got as we launched this feature. It was a little too noisy in the first couple of days, so we very rapidly updated it to give you this kind of control. We tried to make it so that it's really just giving you stuff you care about. Obviously, you can subscribe to email notifications in Google Calendar. You can see the invites in your inbox. There's other places you can see things. We think Slack is an important place for you to see kind of more urgent nearness. And so that's why we defaulted to today, and we offer the today and tomorrow. But you're welcome to set it up to be everything. Just be aware that it could get a little noisy because it turns out busy people, there's actually a lot of stuff happening on your calendar 2-3 weeks down the road, even if you might not be, noticing it day to day. The other thing I want to highlight that's new is this kind of capability here where I can check off multiple calendars or check off my connected calendar. So before I dive into it, I just want a refresher here. what are connected calendars? So under settings, calendars is the place where you can configure your connected calendars. It's also the place where you can connect your Reclaim account to multiple Google or Microsoft accounts. Our system is pretty sophisticated in that it can connect to many accounts. We have some customers who do 6 or 7 because I did not mean to do that. I apologize for those with children. I know 6, 7 triggers a lot of folks. It triggers me. 5 or 6 calendar accounts or workspace accounts. We have a very sophisticated system here, and you can connect not only the accounts, but also the calendars within them. By default, you typically would want to connect at least the primary calendar on that account, but you might have a family calendar or a travel calendar, things like that you could also connect. Any connected calendar gets displayed in the planner and also impacts your availability. Now, here's the thing, is you might want to see things like your personal events. For example, this is picking up Everett from school. Everett is the name of my son. It's in a real calendar, but it's inspired by real life kids. And so I need to know that picking up Everett is on my agenda. But what I have done is that I don't necessarily need my coworkers to know that. I just need them to know that I'm not available for a meeting because this is when I'm picking my son up from school. And so I use our calendar sync feature to indicate that it's a personal commitment. And what I'm doing during that time is kind of none of their business. That's a core feature we've had for a very long time. Now, here's the dilemma. In Slack, it's communicating the full details by default. It's saying, Everett, here's your agenda, or meeting's about to start. And that, for some, could be very welcome. It gives them the context they need in the environment that they're spending a lot of time in. It's great for me personally because, I sometimes am in Slack and it's like, oh my God, I got to run out the door and go get that kid. But for some people, this could be unsettling. It could give them a sense of, well, are my private details intersecting into my work environment? So we wanted to make sure that you had enough configurability and optionality to change that. So of your connected calendars, you can choose which ones are used for our Slack status feature, the notifications, and displaying your agenda. So in this case, it's both, and that's why it says Everett Pickup. But if I uncheck this, being my demo personal account, and then flip back over to the agenda, you'll see it will only show what is in the work calendar. My status would only be impacted by what could be seen here. And my event is about to start message will just say that I have a personal commitment. So it's entirely up to you to choose how to kind of balance the convenience of this information landing inside of your calendar and the privacy that you would want to protect. But we do think it's a really nice capability and just empowers you to have the right settings for you. Okay, I'm going to pause there for a moment, and I don't know if Elizabeth, if you've got microphone access or if your voice is too hoarse for that. But I was curious if we've made any progress on bringing our fellow folks in.
We are working on it. I'm hoping that we can get them in.
No problem.
I'm working on it.
All good. I am now going to also use this moment to just check to see if there's any questions. James has a couple of items, or just one item here. So I will address that now, and then I will move on to the next capability. I would again encourage anyone who you've got questions about Slack. Now's a great time to ask those. Otherwise, we'll probably not. We'll probably move on. James was asking that there's a small community on Reddit. That's true. I'm familiar with that one. But there are other community spaces to share bugs. Is there somewhere on your roadmap where a roadmap is published and where we can provide a little more interactivity? Great question. I might have briefly addressed it. I can't remember. Sorry. And I was saying, James, that it looks like that's Jamie. Sorry, the font is very small here. I might have briefly answered it. We do have a Slack Reclaim community. That's actually this that I was giving the demo in. And so here you can see me posting about this event. It's a little meta. There are other places as well where people give product feedback. And so you can see that kind of interactivity. Frankly, we don't think it's a great space. I'm going to be real blunt with you. For those of you who are here on this call and participate in the community, that's not an indictment against you at all. It's more of an indictment against Slack as a community environment. We are working on a plan to introduce some sort of, I'd just say, nicer community. I do think we need to do a better job of engaging in Reddit. We do pop in from time to time, but I'd say we're not, we could hold ourselves to a higher bar, frankly. The type of community, it might just be Discord. We might just stand up an official Discord environment. We know that that one's more popular. There's a bunch of reasons why that could be the case. The other option that we're looking at is actually leaning into community forums. Let me just pull this up. I believe, for example, Dropbox has some really nice community forums that encourage long form discussions. And we do think there's some power in that because it lets people really lay out their ideas and their workflows and their kind of evergreen, durable, threaded discussions. So we might carve out a little space here and get Reclaim in here. Frankly, I don't know what we're going to do, but I think your main point, and I'm seeing a few other people jump in and express a similar desire, is we could do better to bring our community together. We do very much aspire to having a close relationship with our customers. That's why we do these webinars. And fun little fact, a lot of the Reclaim team is actually very experienced in online communities. In fact, our new head of product management, we're trying to get on the call. Oh, he's here, Nick. Used to be the general manager of a large online community business, including the one that runs Dropbox. So we may do that. We may do Discord. We may do both. But the point is well taken that we can do a little more there. Okay. Philippe had a question about Slack. So let's jump over to that before we get too far beyond it. I feel like I don't see the option to edit my travel time in Slack anymore. Is that right? The answer is yes. And I do apologize for that. We do know that there were some capabilities that regressed or disappeared, namely what we called internally these rich notifications about Reclaim specific events. So your habit is about to start and it let you do things like snooze your habit, or travel time was put on your calendar and then you could quickly say, oh, I don't want that to be the default 30 minutes. It should be an hour or 2 hours. And so that is true that was lost, and we do acknowledge, and I will personally apologize for the friction that has added for those that came to appreciate it. We did analyze the data and look closely at how many people were using it, and we came to the conclusion that for strategic reasons, we needed to remove that capability for now. But I'm going to circle back. If you can hang with us, Philippe, for the whole session, I hope I will circle back and be able to connect the dots on where we're going. Our mission absolutely is to make it even lower friction and more reliable to make quick adjustments to your schedule like that. It was the way we were doing it through Slack was not super effective, and that's why it's temporarily kind of gone away. And that actually brings up I think you then tangent into a good time to also make a suggestion to integrate an easier way of editing directly in the planner or on the Reclaim website. That is directly connected to our strategic goals, and in fact is the next thing I'm going to demo. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just want to make sure Nikki brought up a question. Nikki, I'm gonna circle back on yours around the account management in a moment, but I won't forget it, I promise. Okay. So let's pivot. Philippe's question was a great tangent into, well, what are we all doing then, and what can we do in the planner? So I think everybody at this point, as of yesterday, should have the ability to use what I'm about to show you, except for this thing. Just don't pay attention yet to schedule recommendations or optimize your schedule. We'll come back to that in a moment. But what we have done is we've done a major update to the Reclaim planner, and either you should have access to it today. You will know there should be a little pop-up that tells you about it. But one way to quickly test is if you click and drag in the planner, you should see an option to create an event. If you only see task or plan work, look up on the banner. There should be a thing that encourages you to opt into the new experience. It could take up to an hour because there's some platform changes behind the scenes to make this happen. But I believe everyone has access to this core planner capability. And what this core planner capability is at the most basic level is it is evolving the Reclaim planner from being strictly a place to interact with Reclaim scheduled events. That is, to be able to do things like snooze a task or increase the duration of a travel time buffer, or skip a smart meeting, to being able to do anything that you could do in a regular calendar app like Google Calendar or Microsoft Outlook. In other words, this Reclaim is now metamorphosizing into a full-fledged calendar app. I want to be clear, that is not our mission. There are a lot of great calendar apps out there. We have partnered with two of them, for example, that I will always vouch for and recommend, VimCal and Fantastical. I used for a long time, I've used Google Calendar, of course. There's a lot of great calendar apps, but there are some things that we do uniquely that you may value. And also there are some things that are in our near-term roadmap that necessitated us being a full-blown calendar app. So we do think and hope that some of you will start to depend on us. We also know that a mobile app is a must, and we've heard that loud and clear over the years. And so we will be building a mobile app as well as a browser extension to make it easy for all of these workflows to be at your fingertips. But let's just talk about the core functionality you can have access to today. So you can go ahead and you can schedule a meeting. And I will see, is Nick, are you in here? Never, that's it. Nick, Hal, since this is Hal. And I'll go ahead and, I never supported my contacts here. All right, I'm not going to drag everybody. Actually, I will do this briefly. I never authorized Reclaim to get access to my own contacts. So let me go ahead and do that. All right, there we go. And now Nick, Hal, and I'm going to go ahead and there is Nick. And so I can go ahead and schedule this. Now you'll see that one of the things that's in here is it says that Nick's busy. And that's great that he's busy. And I can go ahead and see some other optional times. And so I can see, we're both free at 3:30. We know a lot of calendar apps have suggested times. You may have used it in Google or Microsoft. Our suggested times will be the best in the market. I promise you that. Nick's been spending a whole bunch of time. Maybe I'll kick it over to him and he can share what is planned for this capability and what's currently here and what we're doing about this unknown event.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. I'm Nick, and I'm one of the new product managers here at Reclaim. So happy to join the call and get to know you all better. This availability is something we've been working on the last couple of months, and it really looks into the different types of events that we have so that we can suggest the best times and also give you as much context as possible. So we're scoring events based on whether or not Reclaim can auto-schedule them, whether or not there's external attendees there, and even scoring different types of events based on things like the number of attendees that are there and other context that we can glean about the event. And this will update in near real time. So Patrick, you should be able to drag and just move that meeting around and it'll be updating things. Drag it late or early. It should also suggest when it's outside of my meeting hours, which might be really helpful for scheduling with folks in different time zones or countries. So we're pretty excited about this, and it also ties into the conflict resolution, which Patrick will probably show you. If you have overlapping meetings or you need to find a time with somebody, all of this availability will be kind of sprinkled throughout the experience, which you might be able to show just in the find a time link above as well, which is geared a little bit more towards knowing that you have to meet with somebody, next week, and you need an hour, and the system will really help you kind of find the best time without having to start from a specific place on the calendar.
I should unmute. That's a great time to show that off. Nick, remind me, is this available to everyone as well, or is this imminently landing?
It was just starting to roll out this week. So some folks might see it now, and if not, you should see it very, very soon.
Great. So one thing, power users, we are leaning into keyboard shortcuts, so you can bring it up with a simple command /, and I can go ahead and type in, Nick again. I can also, I don't know, let's do Henry. Henry, by the way, is not here because Henry is my co-founder. Henry just recently had his first baby, so he's taking some well-deserved time off on parental leave. But if I were to try to meet with them, we'll see Henry's always unavailable because he's got his whole calendar blocked off. But as Nick
One thing to
mentioned,
show there, Patrick, hover over or click on the unknown event there, or actually that might be in the calendar view. Click on unavailable.
oh,
Once you got to that spot with Henry.
okay, I'm going to go ahead.
One thing we do also show, it's a little bit hidden today, but yeah, add Henry and me. If you you can actually keyboard or click on the status message to get more context. For instance, this will show the next availability for Henry, which will give you kind of if you're really trying to meet with someone and they're busy for the next 8 days, it'll kind of look across all the recommended times and call out when they're next available.
Yeah, I think, Nick, we just discovered a bug, though, so let's get that fixed.
Yeah.
Henry is not available on the 25th, but here with Nick, you can see the idea with this, by the way, is, it's hard to find time with a group of people. And we we recognize that the way people work when they're trying to book a meeting with 3 or 4 busy people or more is almost always there's some negotiation. And so we are trying to help you decipher, hard conflicts, personal commitments. We think you shouldn't try to have to negotiate or defend those. If I'm trying to pick my son up, I'm not going to try to get a meeting going during that time. Outside hours generally are not a good idea, although we will, if it's just on the edge of the outside your working hours, we might we're still going to call that outside of your hours, but we might score it a little higher and recommend it if it's the only option. But the workflow Nick's talking about here is really nice because what it also highlights is, yes, a meeting might have 3 or 4 required people, but some required people are more required than others, if that makes sense. And so in this case, I can say, okay, let's optimize around Nick's availability and see what happens for the other people who are trying to make this meeting. So actually, I should get Henry out of the mix because he's just never available because he's off. So here we can see, actually, this is a great example. We're not yet communicating the details. This is some improvements we're making. We have to be obviously very respectful of privacy. So we're going to use what you can see through the shared calendars. But if, for example, I could look at Elizabeth's calendar and she's opened her calendar up in the very near future, we'll tell you the event as well. But notice it's yellow instead of red. That's our scoring system in effect. It's suggesting that it's not a great time for Elizabeth, but we think it could work. And so, but if I go over here, I'm like, no, it's really important for Elizabeth to be here. Well, now actually I've discovered that both of them can make it. So just a good example of the functionality that we're chipping away at in making this calendar app. Small little quality of life improvements. Some people in the Slack community already called this out who had access to this planner last week. We just yesterday launched, or 2 days ago launched, video conference capabilities. You'll notice it automatically added Google Meet once I added attendees. If you have our Zoom integration installed, it'll prefer Zoom because we assume that's what you'd like there. And then we also have, let's see, gosh, I'm forgetting the names of our conference rooms. We're pretty much a virtual first company. So do we have any conference rooms, Nick? I'm trying to remember. Gosh. I don't know if we have any in this environment, actually. Sorry. But if you have conference rooms in a for our Dropbox accounts, there are hundreds of conference rooms because we're a large public company. But we've got a very nice conference room selector as well. And all the things you would come to expect out of a recurring or out of a calendar, except for a few things. They're documented in our help docs, and we're chipping away on those right away, such as editing, the ability to edit recurring events, and a couple other small items. So back to the question of what happened to the ability to move or lengthen or shrink or move, say, your habits or your travel time. Slack, we were getting these nice messages that ran through there. yes, we lost those, but what we have gained is the ability to just do that change right here. So not only can I move, say a lunch habit, but I can also just move any arbitrary meeting. So I can say, here you can see, by the way, the recurrence capabilities are coming very soon. But here you can see I just moved an arbitrary meeting. This is not a meeting that has historically been managed or has any connection to Reclaim other than it's just a calendar, an event on the calendar. So you can go into the planner and you can drag and adjust your travel time there, but we think we can make that a lot easier too once we start getting into this next thing that we're going to talk about, which is insights and recommendations and schedule optimizations. I'm going to go ahead and move this back for the moment because it helps me demonstrate the next item here. Nick, is there anything else we want to talk about the planner updates?
No, I think that covers it for now.
Great. Okay. Before I go into strategic items, I do want to address Nikki's question about what is the best practice for managing your account overall, your Reclaim account. So we designed Reclaim, as I mentioned earlier, to connect to multiple Google and Works Outlook accounts. The way we've also designed Reclaim is that it should be portable. We think that Reclaim, like the whole mission of Reclaim, is to represent all the facets of your life, work, personal, and we know that that people present themselves different in those different facets. For example, like I said earlier, my coworkers don't need to know exactly what I'm doing; they just need to know that I'm not available on these afternoons because I'm picking my kid up. But that's none of their business, right? So we're all about helping you juggle the different dimensions of your life. Well, sometimes those dimensions change. You might leave your job and you might go take on a new job, and you want to still maintain the Reclaim capabilities and your Reclaim account with you as you move through your career. So we made that easy. And the way you can ensure that is by connecting at least these two accounts. Ideally, generally speaking, your work Google account or Microsoft account and your personal Google or Microsoft account. So that's what I'm doing in this case. Hal is a fictional person, and Hal works at Reclaim, and Hal also has a personal email address. Happens to be, let's say it's my cousin Hal. And so what's happening here is if Hal leaves Reclaim, even though it's the main account, so the main account actually doesn't matter on any of this stuff. Even though it's the main account, Hal will still be able to log in and recover Hal's Reclaim account by logging in with his personal Google account. That enables that portability as you leave or go to different jobs. There are some restrictions to that. If Hal already set up a separate Reclaim account under his personal email, then that won't work anymore because that'll log into that other Reclaim account. But we have recovery workflows. When you log in with that secondary email, it'll say, well, hey, we lost that connection to the Reclaim account. You want to reconnect and establish a new main account. And at that point, if Hal has a new job, could do it right there. Or if Hal's taken the summer off, then Hal could just make the personal account the main account, and all the Reclaim stuff is gone. So do keep that in mind, is that you really, if you want to ensure that you can recover your account at any time, just have a second connection. It does not matter, Nikki, which one is the main. Don't worry about that. For the most part, all of Reclaim's functionality is indifferent on which one is the main. The main really only affects two things these days. One, our buffer and our buffers feature, travel time and decompression, today only schedules on the main calendar. That is changing soon on some of the new platform updates we're making. All of our other features, habits, tasks, smart meetings, scheduling links, all of those kinds of things can be scheduled on any of your connected accounts and connected calendars. The other thing the main account does is it's the default place for your billing emails to go to. When you switch your main, we switch your billing account for you. But you can even configure that in a custom way as well. If you come over here to billing and click billing details and invoices, you can change your billing email at any time independent of your main account. Okay, so I hope that clarifies some of the best practices there. All right, Nick, what do you think? Should we address, I know there was at least one more question that's out there, or I can jump over to the scheduler work.
Yeah, I think let's the questions about scheduling links, if we want to address that, since that's the one of the last remaining ones we have.
Yeah, yeah.
And I believe it's about having two separate scheduling links, one with her husband and one on her own. I know
Mhm.
we can create scheduling links with multiple people, but that might require them being a part of the same team. I'm not sure, so I'll let you read that, Patrick. And
Yeah, I'm checking it out. It's possible we may not answer your question fully. It sounds like there's a pretty, kind of sophisticated need here. What I will say is just pop into the support channel if I'm not able to quickly answer it. You can do that as a reminder. Contact support right here. And there are people standing by, including me and Nick sometimes, as well as our full support team who we've got folks on the US West Coast, the US East Coast, and Europe. So we're trying to be available most of the time. But Stephanie, what I would say is that uh, you're also bringing up a family calendar. And I will just say right off the bat, family calendars get very complicated because often they represent things that are sometimes important to be busy for you and sometimes important to be free for you. But it's all smashed together in one calendar. We have a whole help doc on that. I believe Elizabeth helped put this whole thing together, if I recall. And I would encourage you to check this out. There's some other workflows you might look at. This is kind of independent of your scheduling links question, but that's one thing to highlight. I probably won't be able to fully unpack your problem here, so just jump into support and we'll help you out. What I will say, if you didn't know, this is a feature that's been out almost a year, maybe 9 months, but a little known and appreciated feature. And that is that scheduling links, once you're on our paid plan, can be configured to. Why is this warning me? I don't need to do that. Let me just get rid of that. There we go. Scheduling links can be configured to work with a spouse, for example, or anyone else who doesn't even have to be a Reclaim user. So, for example, let's just try this out. My wife is Megan. And I can tell you, for example, a Reclaim account would not have access to my wife's schedule, but a account in the Google Workspace would, even though Megan does not have a Reclaim account herself. And so just an example of setting up shared links with spouses, you may find that you can actually do quite a lot, more than you maybe thought initially. If they're a Reclaim user, even better, because we of course have the full visibility of their availability. But just note that scheduling links actually do work with anybody, provided that the main organizer can see the visibility or can see their availability and kind of coordinate joint availability for everyone. So please follow up and let us know if we need to answer more questions on that one. Okay. I want to briefly, before we talk about scheduling, our scheduling assistant that's coming up, I want to briefly tease something a little different, and that is our new next gen team stats. So a lot of you we know are solo users of Reclaim, but some of you have brought Reclaim into your company and are sharing Reclaim and rolling up into a single team. And some of you even have Reclaim for the entire company. We have customers that deploy Reclaim across the entire company. And we have been working hard to give everybody, but especially leaders and organizations, a lot more visibility on how organizations are spending time in meetings and how well they're spending their time with heads down work. We're introducing a whole new concept of something called a deep work index that can be a score from 0 to 100, and lots of things. I can't show too much here because this is actually a real life account from Dropbox, and so I can't go into too many details, but I did want to highlight that not only are all these capabilities coming with nice little breakdowns of how much time is being spent externally and whatnot, but also lots of attributes. And so you can see some attributes are, pretty generic. When did someone start work? What kind of job profile do they have? Who's their manager? But some are very specific. So like this is the internal leveling system at Dropbox. And so we are pulling this data in from HR platforms and single sign-on platforms. And so if this is something that's interesting to you, please reach out to us. We're looking for some early customers to be to deploy this to first. This capability without the filtering should be landing in the next few weeks to a couple months for everybody. But the filtering in particular is something that we're in the early days, and we're trying to figure out what's the right balance between transparency and privacy. I will tell you right off the bat that none of this capability will be able to be used to identify individual people. We have a strict policy, of course. One, none of this data includes individual meetings or details. It doesn't expose titles of meetings at all. It's all aggregate. But two, this feature, if you filter down to below 10 people, it just says we won't report on that. So we want to continue to be sensitive to that, and we're eager to hear what folks have to say about that. So regarding corporate accounts, this is a related question that Jamie just asked. Regarding corporate accounts, can different users have different level accounts? For example, administrators that don't need the full functionality. The quick answer is we don't currently support that today, Jamie. Generally, people get licensed for starter, business, or enterprise, and it's inclusive of all the seats. But we do know, and I think your question is kind of maybe even prompted by this, that there's going to be a desire to say, get company-wide analytics, even if the whole company isn't ready to use all of Reclaim. Obviously, we would love for everyone to get value and use Reclaim, but the reality is we know that that takes time. You have to build up trust. So we are exploring some pricing models where there might be a lower cost seat for analytical purposes, or as you noted, administrator seats that shouldn't count towards the total seat count. We don't have anything formally planned, but if you reach out to our sales team, we can typically work something out that's reasonable. So just let us know. Okay. We are rapidly at time. There was one last question from Robert. Do you think you'll be able to fix the people we've met with so it's not their email but their name? On the personal stats, I think this is what Robert's referring to right here. Yes, currently we have not done a refresh of the personal stats, and so frankly, this hasn't been super on our radar just yet, but definitely showing their name rather than the email address, we know would be a lot more usable. And our plan is once we're done with the improvements on team stats, we're going to come back to the personal stats, and we'll show a lot more information there. That actually I can bridge over to briefly in our final minute or two, just as a sneak peek. We are rapidly building towards a much more interesting actually, let me switch over to my other screen here. A much more interesting experience that is, I'd say, interactive and brings up recommendations. So this first feature that you do not have access to yet is highlighting conflicts. So you can see here when I mouse over, it's highlighting that I've got a problem tomorrow morning that I need to fix. And it's prompting me with some things I can do to fix that. For example, come in here and see some alternative suggested times. There's a lot more we anticipate doing. One of those things in the context of that stat that you were bringing up, Robert, is around keeping you in touch with people you're trying to have regular touch points with. Someone on your team in your org chart you haven't met with in over a month. So maybe it's time to go ahead and meet with them. It's not quite the same thing, but we do know that people look at that personal stat partly to make sure that they're keeping in touch with lots of folks. So that's just a little example of the kinds of recommendations, a very wide-ranging set of recommendations we plan to offer. And we do intend to offer a chat interface very soon. So you could also ask questions like, who do I meet with the most? And get answers back to those kinds of things. So there's a bunch of different workflows and capabilities that are coming out that we think tie in this self-reflective nature of personal stats and back into the action-oriented behavior that Reclaim is today. And we think this sidebar is a great place to do it. So please stay tuned. I hope in our next webinar, we will have even more to show on that topic. Thank you so much for joining us. We used all the time. It was wonderful. And I hope to see you all again in the near future. Take care. Bye-bye.